As a college professor, I never thought I'd find myself defending a student not only against relentless harassment, but also a web of twisted lies that threaten to ruin us both. I'm a college professor, and recently I had this shy student named Lily who kept getting borderline harassed by this guy in my class. He always sat next to her, even though it made her visibly uncomfortable, and flirted with her all the time by mocking her, even making her cry once by loudly joking that she was an example of nerdy girls, being the most freaky. Well, one day when she walked into class, the guy sat beside her and started talking to her. But instead of looking uncomfortable like she did every other day, she looked angry. She loudly told him to shut up, and the guy looked around, then said to her, "Oh, you're feisty, but I'm good at taming naughty girls." Without missing a beat, she grabbed her 450-page hardback book, lifted it over her head, and as hard as she could, brought it down on this guy's head. Not once, but twice. His nose started pouring blood, and he ran out. I ended the lecture early that day and asked Lily if she could stay after. She was visibly shaking. I could guess what had happened, but I also needed to understand from her point of view. Her eyes filled with tears as she started speaking. She said that Jake, the guy, had been making her life a living nightmare. She revealed to me that not only did he act like a lowlife in class toward her, but he also sent her disgusting text messages. I asked her if she had any proof of his behavior, so she could report him, and she nodded. She pulled out the texts, but she said she was scared that no one would believe they were from him. She explained that she blocked his number weeks ago, but he often texted from different numbers through a texting app. I asked to see the text messages and scrolled through. I saw some really disturbing one-sided texts from him and the occasional "please stop texting me" from Lily. He didn't just stop at text messages, I also saw explicit pictures from him. He carefully cut out his face in all of them, but that it was him was undeniable. I told Lily that I would help her, but she needed to provide all the evidence she had. She nodded her head in agreement, thanking me over and over. The next few days, just as Lily was about to report Jake, he reported Lily for violence, claiming she made his nose bleed and said he had a concussion that could have led to brain damage. He said that her actions could have made him unable to complete his classes for the semester. Lily tried to explain her side of the story, but they weren't hearing it. The school authorities began to consider expelling her. I couldn't let that happen. I took all of the evidence Lily gave me and went to the administration. I presented the disturbing texts and detailed the situation. Just as things started to look up for Lily, something else was brewing in the background. An anonymous report surfaced. They accused me of having an inappropriate relationship with Lily. My heart sank. This baseless accusation threatened not only my career, but also the credibility of Lily's claims. The school put me on temporary leave while they investigated the allegations. I was devastated, but I had to prove that I was innocent. Over the next few weeks, my life became a series of meetings with investigators. I had to give them my emails, phone records, and any other communication that could clear my name. Breaking the news that I was being accused of sleeping with my student to my wife was the hardest. She knew that I was a genuine man and didn't doubt me for a second. The investigation was grueling. Then, one day, I was called into a meeting with the dean and the head of the investigation team. They told me that they found something concerning. They showed me an email thread that I had with Lily, and they interpreted my humor as being inappropriate. She emailed me with a couple of questions about the project, and I gave her the answers. She then said she didn't want me to get angry with her, and she had a few that she wanted to ask in person so she could know if she was demoing the model correctly. She joked, saying she didn't want to end up like Tom. Tom was another student of mine who was quite disruptive. He would ask obnoxious questions constantly and tried to be the class clown. After holding him after class multiple times throughout the semester, I eventually had to make him withdraw from the class and sign up for another teacher, teaching the same subject. I reassured Lily that she could never get that treatment since she was one of my most diligent students. And this was true. For every lecture, she came in early, sometimes before I unlocked the room door. She would always ask the hard questions that other students were too afraid to ask, and she would turn in her homework well before it was due. The authorities didn't find the joke amusing and said that I was flirting with her and talking negatively about a previous student. I informed them that I was not flirting with her, as I was just recounting a shared moment with the entire class present. They presented another email. Lily was thanking me for giving out a study guide for a test that was a few weeks away to the entire class. She said she was going to start studying it the moment she got home. One line for me stood out. "It's students like you that make me grateful to teach. Keep up the great work." My heart sank. Out of context, it could seem flirtatious. I told them that I was just encouraging her and that she was a talented student. I just wanted to motivate her. The investigators still looked skeptical. They asked for more context. I felt a bit frustrated because I was like this with all my students. I told them that I talked to all my students that way. I remembered an email that I sent just last week to a student that was a male in his 40s and went through the papers to show them. I provided the emails with David. In one, I had joked, "David, if you keep presenting like this, I might have to hire you as my assistant." The investigators reviewed the thread, but they said that it didn't prove anything regarding my interactions with Lily. Then, my wife, who had been helping me compile my communications, provided another thread where I had made similar remarks to other students. It was clear I treated all my students with the same level of encouragement and respect. The investigators eventually agreed to review the additional context. After some consideration, they concluded that my interactions with Lily were indeed professional, and in the same way I communicated with all my students. It was my wife's idea to provide the authorities with my emails and the communication that I had with Lily. That was documented. Everything showed that I was innocent. She was a genius. Knowing that I had her in my corner throughout all of this was like having a beacon of hope. The investigation was in full swing, and I was juggling meetings and trying to support Lily as best as I could. One afternoon, Lily came to my office, looking more distressed than usual. She told me that Jake was still texting her from different numbers. She handed me the phone to read the texts. The message read, "You can't hide from me forever, Lily. I miss the way your hair smells. That strawberry pound cake perfume from Bath and Body Works. It's intoxicating." He went on to say that he missed seeing her all the time in lectures and talking to her in person. My stomach churned as I continued reading. He said that he knew the exact perfume she wore, because after he smelled her the first time, he went into the store and bought it himself. The next messages sent a chill up my spine. He sprays the perfume on his pillow every night and imagines that Lily is sleeping next to him. I handed her back the phone and told her that this was more than harassment. It was stalker behavior. Lily began to break down. She said that she felt like he was everywhere. She couldn't escape him. I reassured her that she would get through this and that we were going to keep her safe. I may not have been a person of the law or a figure close to her, but she put her trust in me and shared something extremely sensitive. Hence, I was determined to do everything in my power to help her out. I told her to stay strong. During this time, Lily stayed consistent. She continued to gather evidence against Jake and collected witness statements from the other students who saw how weird Jake was treating her in class. Some asked her if she was okay after the incident, and others felt like she should have smacked him well before that time. One student, even word for word, stated that if Lily gets expelled for this, he and his friends are going to boycott the university. She maintained detailed records of his behavior. I was more determined than ever to see justice served. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, I was cleared of the allegations. The investigators found no evidence of any wrongdoing on my part. The weight I felt lifted off my shoulders was intense, but I knew the battle wasn't over. Lily still needed to prove that her actions were in self-defense. The pressure was on for Lily. The administration was analyzing every piece of evidence, and the stakes for Lily couldn't be higher. She knew she needed to prove beyond doubt that smacking him in the head was in self-defense, especially when he had the evidence written all over his face. One afternoon, Lily came to my office with a folder full of documents and her phone in her hand. She told me that she thought she had enough proof to explain to the investigators. Even though her words showed she was ready, the pitch of her voice said otherwise. I looked over everything, and I found something that solidified her case completely. In one of the recent explicit pictures that Jake sent to her from a random number, I noticed a small birthmark on his right hand, and I told her if we could prove that he had that exact same birthmark in person, I was sure they would listen to her. We went to the dean's office together. As we sat down, Lily handed over the folder to the investigation team. Inside were screenshots of all the messages Jake and her sent, both from his number and the numbers on the anonymous app. She also had written statements from her fellow students who witnessed his behavior and felt uncomfortable around him. She highlighted key messages that showed his escalation over time. She showed them how he started with inappropriate comments and then moved to explicit texts. And then she showed her phone and presented the texts from the anonymous number, including the one where he described buying the same perfume she wore. The investigators reviewed the evidence carefully. Each screenshot painted a clear picture of Jake's obsession and harassment. The written statements from other students backed Lily's claims tremendously. They realized that Jake had shown a pattern of disturbing behavior not only toward Lily, but also toward other female students in the class. After showing the pictures of Jake, she said that he had a birthmark on his right hand and that they could check it out for themselves. She then pulled out something else that we hadn't talked about previously. She showed them a video that her friend had recorded of Jake following her around campus. In the video, you can clearly see Jake lurking behind her, trying to get close without being noticed. The room was silent as the video played. It was unmistakable. One of the investigators finally spoke. They said that it was compelling evidence and that it was clear that she hit him in self-defense. The dean nodded. She said that her response in hitting him was extreme, yet justified. I could see Lily's shoulders relax slightly. I knew that the weight of weeks of anxiety began to lift. She thanked them, and tears began to form in her eyes as she held her mouth. The administration made their decision. Jake would be put under strict watch, prohibited from any contact with Lily, and required to attend counseling sessions. Lily, meanwhile, was cleared of any wrongdoing, and measures were put in place to ensure her safety on campus. As we left the dean's office, Lily thanked me profusely and told me that she couldn't have done it without my help. It felt good to get my student out of some trouble so that she could finally feel safe attending class. I smiled back at her and told her she had worked hard, and now it was paying off. Lily nodded. The ordeal had been grueling, but she had proven her strength and resilience. And as her professor, I felt honored to have stood by her side. I was reinstated, and my return to the classroom was met with warm smiles and relieved faces. Lily and I maintained a cordial relationship and kept our interactions strictly professional. Despite the challenges, I was pleased to have supported a student in need and to have cleared my name. Weeks later, as I graded the final exams, I wasn't surprised to see Lily's name at the top of the class. She had not only survived the ordeal, but had also excelled academically. On the last day of the semester, I returned the graded exams. When I handed Lily her paper, she took a breath of relief. She had passed with an A. The experience left a lasting impact on both of us. Lily found some relief in the resolution, slowly returning her confidence. As for me, I gained a renewed sense of purpose. My role as an educator was not just to impart knowledge, but to protect and support my students. Commentary time. Wow, what a powerful and unsettling story. OP's determination to support his student, Lily, through these traumatic experiences shows his strength of character and commitment to his students' well-being. This story is a roller coaster of harassment, manipulation, and false accusations, but it's also a testament to the power of resilience and integrity in the face of injustice. Lily's bravery in coming forward, despite being harassed and stalked, speaks volumes. The horrifying behavior from Jake escalated quickly, and Lily handled it with a level of strength that's truly admirable. It's also heartening to see how OP stepped up, advocating for Lily when she felt unheard and isolated. His professionalism and unwavering support not only protected her, but also brought her the justice she deserved. The baseless accusations against OP show the sad reality of how quickly people can face harsh consequences based on rumors alone. Without OP's meticulous record-keeping, the outcome could have been very different. His wife's support and advice during this difficult time also reveal how vital it is to have a strong support system. The fact that she stood by him and provided the necessary documentation was instrumental in proving his innocence and exposing the truth about Jake's behavior. Lily's hard-fought victory serves as a reminder of the importance of documenting harassment and gathering evidence. Her experience reminds us all that sometimes self-defense is the only option left when no one will listen. Thank you for listening to this story. If you found it as compelling as I did, don't forget to hit the like button. Leave a comment below with your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that shed light on courage and resilience. See you in the next one.